give a piece of foam. Oh no. Is it? No. This is it. This is somewhere.
Okay, so my hope for this video is that I can show a pretty short video on how I glue on Tarfful's dreads. You can see I've got the mask here on a stand, and I've gone ahead and I've glued the cowl on, which I go over this in a video from a long time ago. I basically am just using the zip kicker to glue the cowl on. That's what I used to glue the cowl on. And I just finished doing that. Prior to doing that, I marked down from looking at reference photos where I wanted to glue down each dread and where I want each dread to fall. So you can kind of get a view here of where my marks are. And it probably looks confusing to you, so I'll go through what I'm doing. So the X's, which I've labeled with numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are up here. And then around the back, I've got 8, 9, and then 10 in the middle. And so the X's are where I'm going to actually glue down the dread. And then these boxes are where the first bead in that dread is supposed to go. I think those are subject to change too, but as I was just sort of working my mind through this, this was my layout. Obviously, hopefully, and I'll have videos showing the end result of this, and of course photos showing the end result. So if it works, then you can go back to this video and do similar markings if you're making this mask, because there are several of these kits out in the wild. But anyway, that's the gist of what I'm doing here. The first dread I'm going to do is a dread that's mostly hidden anyway, and that's just dread number 10. So I'm going to go ahead and get that ready here in a second. So I've got a dreadlock here. This is the first dreadlock that I'm going to glue on. You can see here there's a loop, and I've zip tied it. I sort of created a loop when I went to make these dreadlocks. I looped them around a wooden dowel just from one of these stands like this, and so it went through, that wooden dowel went through this area here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull or put some scissors through that loop and basically just cut that loop in half, and then I'll kind of show you what I'm doing from there. One of the first things I'm doing is I'm getting rid of this white zip tie. Had I been a little bit smarter to start with, I would have just used black zip ties to begin with. But I put a black one on there because I'm going to be leaving that on there. And so now I'm going to cut that white one off. Okay, so I cut the loop. You can see I've got kind of a pom-pom here at the top. It's pretty huge because this is 6 ounces of hair that's been dreaded up. You can see the black zip tie here. The next part of this is I want to trim this a little bit to try and get the start of what I'm going to call a beaver tail shape at the end. I did brush it a little bit to just get some of the loose hair out because it was the tail end. So when I cut through the end, it sort of cut off the tail end of the bushel of hair. But anyway, the next thing I'm going to do is sort of do some trimming on it. Okay, hopefully you can see this, but I did a little bit of trimming on this. You can see the zip tie. What I'm going to do is basically gob up this end as much as I can, and I'm going to start by sort of splaying out the end of this, and I'm going to put a huge gob of silicone in the middle and really work it around and work it in here. I'm going to try to basically wet the entire end of what you see right here with silicone, and I'm going to sort of make it into sort of a ducktail shape, like something like this. Now hopefully it'll be more compact with the silicone in it, but I'm going to take, I don't know, I'll probably take a good 5 minutes to just work that silicone in there, and really work it around so that it's touching all of the hair that it can. And then as soon as it starts to get you know, kind of tacky, like it's ready to sort of set, then I'm going to hold it in place in the mask. Hopefully I'll have a chance to show you that on the video. All right, hopefully you guys can see that. You can see I've got the silicone gun here, and I'm just gonna put a huge gob of this silicone in here. And I really wish I had a third hand right now. Okay, so I'll set that down, and then I'm just gonna start gobbing this around. It sure is messy, but this is what I did before and it worked great. I'm just working this around, try and get silicone touching as much as possible. And I'm gonna need to go back and get more silicone. It uses a lot of silicone getting this. And this time around I'm using even more hair, so it's gonna require even more silicone. Which I'm probably gonna have to go buy more to finish this. You can see I've got more on there. And I'm just trying to gum this up. Now, the last time I did this, I wasn't using as much hair. It is definitely a bigger challenge using this much hair. So it's really tough, but I'm gonna need to do another round here of silicone. You can see already though, it's kind of getting a little bit smaller, but what I need is some more silicone. Can you put a glove on and put some more silicone on this, please? So I'm gonna open this up again because there's quite a bit of hair here doesn't have silicone on it.
What? Why don't you open the window, silly?
So I need you to put a glove on, and sorry, I got a second set of hands here, guys. So okay, go ahead and just start putting it on there. Just keep that on just all over.
I don't remember you doing this last time.
I probably did it when you were at work or something. I don't know. Put some over here. That's good. So you can see I'm just gumming it up. It's taking a really absurd amount of silicone because it is so much hair this time around. But I wanted to do these dreads right this time. And so right now what I'm seeing is that this is probably going to require somebody else's help. So, you know, live and learn. Okay, let's go on the outside now. So I've kind of got the inside gummed up enough. Now I'm going to go to the outside. The outside's probably the most important. That's probably good, because it's obviously the part that's going to be touching the underskull and actually gets glued down to the underskull. Okay, over here. That's good. And so again, just trying to gum it up as much as possible. Okay, take that glove off and just toss it in the garbage. Okay. All right, so I'm kind of at a point, let's put a little bit more here. Kind of at a point where I'm just working outside. I'm trying to get sort of this beaver tail type of shape here. And I kind of trimmed it more on one side, as you can tell, but you can see right here. Let's put some like right there. I need to buy a lot more silicone.
Yeah. Home Depot trip.
A bit more. Getting a lot of loose hairs too, because I cut that loop, and again, that was the loop on the hair there. And it definitely, you know, it's definitely messy, but it all gets cleaned up and covered up. So what?
Wipe off your hand.
Okay, so I've got this beaver tail set up here. Hopefully you can see that in the camera. Hold it up that way so you can see it. Got some silicone on this first spot that I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just kind of spread that around so that it can touch the beaver tail that I've created. Okay, and then what I'm gonna do is, this stuff has already started to mostly set up. You can see it's sort of wanting to, getting pretty firm. And so with that, I'm gonna go ahead and, I gotta be careful what I grab here because I got silicone all over my, and I'm just pressing it down, trying to get it as smooth as I can. Definitely a learning curve here because I didn't use as much hair the last time, so a little bit wondering how this is going to work here. And then it might take 5 or 10 minutes of doing this to kind of get it to sit where I want. And then of course, like overnight, you know, it's gonna set and do that. And I also have to hair underneath this. I wanted to make this video just so I could show people how I do this. Anyway, this is the process of it, of gluing the dreads on. I think with the next one I might do a little more shaping of the beaver tail just so I don't have this huge lump right here. You can see it's already wanting to stay though. So since it's already staying, I'm just gonna switch my glove out just so I can get a fresh glove because there was just hair mess everywhere. I'm just gonna keep working it. Just trying to get it to lay as flat as I can. And then once this is glued on, I'm gonna be going back and I'll flip it over the front of the mask and I'll glue underneath it as I start gluing up the back of the mask. I probably should have done that first, but call it impatience. This side over here it really needs some. And I tried to make this mask not as tall as it really needs to be at the top of the head. The reason being is because I knew this buildup from these dreads was gonna cause quite a bit of lift in the mask, or quite a bit of height in the mask. But anyway, I'm just kind of trying to sort of flatten down this beaver tail, kind of waiting for this to set so that it can just sit there. So we'll probably cut the video now, and then as this sets up, I'll probably come back in and do a closing video here in about 10 or 15 minutes. So it's been about 5 minutes since that last clip, and I've got this on here. I'm a little, maybe a smidge concerned at how much hair it is, but it's definitely on. It's not completely cured, but it's enough to hold this dread on without any moving. I'd have to pull it, with some decent amount to get it to come off. And so I just kind of am flattening that thing down until it, is stuck on, and then I let it sit overnight. I usually just do 1 or 2 dreads per day. The mistake I made with this is I glued the cowl on, and I probably should have done about, you can kind of see under there, like I could have done probably at least 2 layers of 7-inch hair on that. So I'm gonna have to go back and kind of add that underneath, which will be a pain, but I'll just get an extra set of hands and fix that. I really wanted to make this video how to glue the dread on. You can see I'm gonna have to do another dread here, so it'll kind of overlay. But like I mentioned in one of those previous clips, I knew I was going to be getting some added height from these dreads and all of the hair that goes into them. And so I kind of did that knowing that I was going to be getting a little bit of extra height from that. But I'm going to be gluing down bundles similar to this one on all of these X's. So I'm going to have to kind of get creative. And I think I may go in with some thinning shears and just kind of make the bundle a little bit less than that again. But I guess the challenge there is, the glue has to be touching as much hair as possible. So with that being said, that's the messy part of how I glue on the dreads. The dread looks really good. I'll kind of pan back, add 9 more of those on there, and it's going to start looking pretty cool. But this is the process I've used in the past, and it's certainly the process I'm using now. So we'll see how it turns out. One last little clip here. Maybe it's overkill, but what I did just as this dread is setting up is I went and put a bead of silicone just kind of around the edge of it. And so what I'm going to do is just kind of work it in here. Just trying to ensure that this dread is fully stuck down to this mask. Definitely don't want any dreadlocks coming off of this costume. Sounds kind of ridiculous to even think of it, but I guess it's possible. And so much of this gets hidden that it really can be a really messy project, and it just gets layered in and hidden underneath this. So I'm going to try and do what I can to make the next bundles smaller, just so they're a little easier to work with. But that's the gist of it. This thing is stuck on there. I'd have to saw it off pretty much. I'll let it sit overnight, and then tomorrow my plan is to go in and probably layer hair all the way to the 8-9 dreads, and then hopefully tomorrow night I can glue the 8 and the 9 dreads on top of that. And you can kind of see how it gets a little bit of lift here. It takes a lot of silicone, and it makes this head kind of tall. If you look at reference photos of Tarfful, the mask that I've created here is a little bit short on the top of the head, and it's short on the top of the head because I knew that I was going to be layering some pretty heavy-duty dreads on top. Anyway, I hope this video helps in some way. I think it'll make a whole lot more sense once I get the mask complete, and you can go back and look at this crazy, messy job and go, yep, I guess it works. So fingers crossed on that, and thanks for watching.